Spain, a land of vibrant culture, stunning landscapes and passionate people, also knows the weight of tragedy. While history remembers its conquests and empires, some scars are etched not on parchment, but on the very soul of the nation. This is the story of one such scar, a disaster that shook the country to its core, testing its spirit and its resilience. This is not a tale of ancient times, but a stark reminder that even in our modern age, nature possesses a power we can scarcely comprehend. It is a story of loss, but also of courage, compassion, and the unwavering will to rebuild. It is a story that reminds us of the fragility of life, but also of the enduring strength of the human spirit. This is the story of the disaster that forever changed the landscape and the people of Spain. Like many tragedies, the one that befell Spain was not a sudden and inexplicable act of nature. It was in many ways a tragedy foretold, the culmination of years of neglect, carelessness, and a dangerous disconnect between human actions and the environment. For decades, warning signs were ignored. Experts pointed to the increasing vulnerability of certain regions, highlighting the risks posed by rampant development, deforestation, and climate change. Reports gathered dust on shelves, their urgent calls for action lost in a sea of bureaucracy and complacency. The very landscape of Spain, shaped by centuries of geological processes, held inherent vulnerabilities. Certain regions, prone to earthquakes, floods, or landslides, were treated with a casual disregard for the potential consequences. Construction flourished in high-risk zones, driven by short-term economic gains rather than long-term safety considerations. As the years passed, a dangerous illusion of invulnerability took hold. Warnings faded into the background, replaced by a sense of complacency and the belief that such disasters were things of the past. But nature, as it always does, had other plans. The day began like any other, the sun rising over the picturesque Spanish landscape, casting its warm glow on bustling cities and tranquil villages. But in an instant, the illusion of normalcy shattered. The very ground beneath their feet, once a symbol of permanence and security, turned traitor. The mountains, silent guardians of the Spanish landscape for generations, roared their fury. What began as a tremor, a fleeting moment of discomfort, quickly escalated into a terrifying display of nature's raw power. Buildings swayed, then crumbled, reduced to rubble in the blink of an eye. Roads buckled and cracked, swallowing vehicles whole. Panic gripped the nation as news spread like wildfire. Communication lines jammed, overwhelmed by a deluge of frantic calls. Images of devastation flashed across television screens, bringing the horror of the disaster into homes across the country. The initial shock quickly gave way to a chilling realization. This was no localized incident, but a disaster of unprecedented scale, one that would leave an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. Picking up the pieces, the immediate aftermath. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, Spain was a nation in shock and disbelief. The air, thick with dust and the smell of debris, carried the cries of the injured and the frantic pleas of those searching for loved ones. Roads, rendered impassable by gaping fissures and mountains of rubble, hampered rescue efforts. Hospitals, overwhelmed by the sheer number of casualties, struggled to cope. Power outages plunged entire regions into darkness, adding to the sense of chaos and fear. Yet, amidst the devastation, stories of human resilience and compassion began to emerge. Ordinary citizens, transformed into heroes by circumstance, dug through the rubble with their bare hands, desperate to save their neighbors. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, oblivious to their own safety, driven by a profound sense of duty. The world watched in horror, but also in admiration, as the Spanish people, united in grief and determination, began the long and arduous task of picking up the pieces. A cry for justice, uncovering the truth. As the dust settles and the full extent of the tragedy becomes horrifyingly clear, a collective question arises from the wreckage. How could this have happened? The nation, united in grief, demands answers. Accusations fly, fingers pointed at authorities, accusing them of negligence, corruption, and a callous disregard for human life. Inquiries are launched, seeking to determine the causes of the disaster and hold those responsible accountable. Panels of experts are convened to analyze the factors that contributed to the tragedy. They will scrutinize building codes, analyze infrastructure projects, and investigate the role of climate change in exacerbating the disaster. the quest for justice becomes intertwined with the process of healing. For many, uncovering the truth, however painful it may be, will be an essential step in preventing a similar tragedy from ever happening again. That was our video about the disaster that marked Spain. A sad story, but one that brings important lessons about the importance of prevention and resilience in times of crisis. If you liked it, leave a like, share it with your friends, and comment on what you thought of this story. Want to see more videos like this? Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any content. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.